er ikke skrevet på tavlen.
Nej.
Så jeg skal bare læse her. Tekst nummer 3. Kapitlet hedder Narada and Angira Instructs King Chitraketu. Det er så tekst 3. Yata priyanti sangyanti shroto vegena baluka sangyujyante vyujyante tatakalina dena. Yata, just as Vayanti, move apart, Samyanti, come together, Shrotavegena, by the force of waves, Baluka, the small particles of sand, they are united. Vyujyante, they are separated. Tata, similarly, Kalina, by time, Dena, the living entities who have accepted material bodies. Translation. O King, as small particles of sand sometimes come together and are sometimes separated due to the force of the waves, the living entities who have accepted material bodies sometimes come together and are sometimes separated by the force of time. Purport. The understanding of the conditioned soul is the bodily conception of life. The body is material, but within the body is the soul. This is the spiritual understanding. Unfortunately, one who is in ignorance under the spell of material illusion accepts the body to be the self. He cannot understand that the body is matter. Like small particles of sand, bodies come together and are separated by the force of time, and people falsely lament for unification and separation. Unless one knows this, there is no question of happiness. Therefore, in Bhagavad Gita 2.13, this is the first instruction given by the Lord. Deno sminyata dehe kaumaram yoganam jara tata dantara pratya divas tatranuyati. As the embodied soul continually passes in this body, from boyhood to youth to old age, the soul simply passes into another body at death. The self-realized soul is not bewildered by such a change. We are not the body. We are spiritual beings trapped in the body. Our real interest lies in understanding this simple fact. Then we can make further spiritual progress. Otherwise, if we remain in the bodily conception of life, our miserable material existence will continue forever. Political adjustments, social welfare work, medical assistance, and the other programs we have manufactured for peace and happiness will never endure. We shall have to undergo the sufferings of material life one after another. Therefore, material life is said to be dukhalayam or shasvatam. It is a reservoir of miserable conditions. Yatha prayanti samyanti shroto vegena anuka sangyujyante vyujyante tatakalina dena. O King, as small particles of sand sometimes come together and are sometimes separated due to the force of the waves, the living entities who have accepted material bodies sometimes come together and are sometimes separated by the force of time. Om Madhyanta Varanta Shakinandana Shakya Chaksunyutam Yena Tasmai Sri Gurave Namaha Mukham Karoti Vachalam Pangum Langati Grimya Kripa Tadaham Bande Sri Guru Natarinam Namo Om Vishnu Daya Krishna Prestaya Buddhale Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Namne Namaste Saraswati Devam Gauravan Prachayani Yavishesha Shunyavadi Pastyachari Satayane Vancha Kalvachalubhyascha Kritasundavevaccha Patitanam Devyo Vaishnavevyo Namo Namaha Jai
Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Gaur Bhaktavinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
So here this is Narada and Gira who are speaking. I don't know if they're speaking on top of each other rather than speaking, but on behalf of both. Generally it's Narada Muni, he's the senior of the two. So generally whenever he is there, then he speaks. We have that. Where do we have that also? Narada and Parvati Muni, very good friends. And when they appear together, then Narada Muni, he speaks. And but it's not mentioned specifically here. It says they are instructing Maharaj Chitraketu on the occasion of the death of his only son. And they give very basic transcendental instructions, which will actually completely mitigate the lamentation of King Chitraketu. That's a power of actually transcendental instruction. It can completely remove all our material lamentation and our material fear. When one is by knowledge, one actually understands things as they are. And they're simple. Prabhupada is pointing out it's a simple fact. We're not this body. That's just a simple fact. But that has to be understood. And that's, of course, it turns out to be a great challenge to actually free oneself from the bodily conception of life down, in all the layers of one's existence. There are many layers to our existence. Of course, we're a pure spirit soul, but also we have a mind, a mental body, which is very much conditioned with the bodily conception of life. We have our conceptions, we have our goals and ambitions centered around, situated in mind, centered around the body. We have habits which are deeply ingrained within ourselves that we've been cultivating for thousands and millions of lifetimes, and even though we know better, still we act in the bodily conception of life just out of habits very often. So it's a deep purification process, and this is what we have undertaken on the path of Krishna consciousness, to free ourselves from the bodily conception of life through the process of devotional service, because that's actually the only way it's possible to free oneself from the bodily conception of life. The fact that we are a spirit soul is simple, but then why isn't it so simple just to free oneself from the bodily conception of life? And Prabhupada explains that in the Bhagavad Gita, because that is just part of transcendental knowledge. You have to have the other part also and act on it. Then one can free oneself from the bodily conception of life. But if one doesn't have the other part or acts on it, one will fall back into the bodily conception of life again and again. So what is that other part? Well, that is to understand, to stand positively who we are, to understand we are not this body is actually negative knowledge. It's something that we are not this, but it doesn't contain information or little information about who we are. Of course, it teaches us that we are not matter, that we're different from matter, that we are consciousness, just pure consciousness. But that's not, in one sense, doesn't give much information about ourselves. Even just telling us that you are consciousness, big thing. I knew that already. I mean, we all know we're conscious. It's not that, I come and tell you you're conscious. You knew that already. So it's, but of course we understand that consciousness is not matter. So that is something. But who are we? Well, we're actually servants of Krishna. By nature, we are Krishna servants. We active by nature. Souls are very, soul is full of desires and full of actions. But the nature of the soul is to render service to Krishna, who is the Supreme Soul, and always to be subordinate to Him. Always to understand. Again, that's another simple fact. This verse talks about simple facts. Another simple fact is we are small, Krishna is very big, and we are subordinate to Krishna. That doesn't. But if one doesn't accept that, there's no chance of any kind of spiritual realization. One simply has to, we have to accept that, and this is what we are rebelling against. We really don't want Krishna to be the supreme. We would much rather like that I was the supreme. And, I really would like that. And but the simple fact is, I'm not the supreme. I'm very tiny. Just like a tiny grain of sand. The example is given here. Grains of sand being carried by the waves, up on the bank of the river, and then different grains of sand they unite for a moment until the next wave comes and again carries these particles of sand with them and separates them forever. This is what we are. We're just tiny grains of sand being carried by the waves of time, just like it says the waves of the ocean. But we are actually living in an ocean of time, vast ocean of time, and we're being carried by this in this ocean of time, being completely in the grips of time. Time is all powerful. We can think that we are very, very strong, big like that, but time is all powerful. Time is just laughing at us. No matter how much we resist, time will simply grind us down, disintegrate us, and completely scatter the circumstance we happen to be in at this very moment. This is just, flickering glimpse of time at this moment. And so we can be very attached to it. This is what we are in the bodily conception about being very attached to the circumstance we are in somehow or another, which means, first of all, the body is a circumstance that we are in, and then whatever is around the body, that is a circumstance we are in. We are very attached to this, and time is just laughing at this. Time will completely scatter the situation we're in, completely crush it to dust. There will be a time when nobody would have any idea about the year 2014 and us who are here, and all the important things that are going on and so on. There'll soon be come another time, nobody would have any idea there was anything like that. There was a world of iPhones and motor cars and all the political plans and so on that's going on. To be look how a point in time nobody will not even have any idea that once there was a world it's very, very significant, very important. But there's been so many worlds, so many nations, and so many societies, and so many people, and where are they now? We thinking that they're not even there. They were there. They were great civilizations on this planet, and they were just like us. They were also thinking, this is very important. We've made great progress. We have created, now we've created, or we're just about to create eternity in this material world. That's one of the great illusions. We think we create eternity here. Politicians, they voted with great promises, we will create eternity here. The great, what is it called, the Third Reich, 1,000 years. That was the Nazis. Which is, 1,000 years, what is that? But, even to with the conditioned soul, that's same as creating eternity. I thought they would create, 1,000 years. What is that in English? Is that in
King?
Yeah, third kingdom.
Era?
I don't know. 1000 års rige.
Yeah, 1000 års rige. What is the English expression for that?
Kingdom that will last for thousands of years.
Yeah. But it was so brief. Actually, if you speak about that, Hitler, I think it was in 1933 he came to power. He lasted for 12 years and was finished. 12 years is nothing. It's like, we just had 2000 a few years ago, but that's 14 years ago. So Hitler lasted less than that. And of course, within that time he managed to create quite a mess, so that's quite impressive. But he just came and they thought, it's going to, now it's a new utopia and it's going to last forever. And it was just a few years, bong, 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 and then the Third Reich smashed, finished. And Robert writes about that in the Second Canto. I think it's in that verse where he says that this world is just a world of names. It's actually some very simple material elements, just a few basic elements, but they take all kinds of shapes and forms, and then we give them names. That's just a world. This world is just a world of names, temporary names, to forms that come and go like foam on the ocean. There's the ocean waves, and you see the foam come and go, like that. So this is just what this world is like. We give names to all these shapes of the foam, and attach great importance to it. And great kings, they will fight with one another to perpetuate their names and become famous forever. And time just comes and completely crosses them, and they're gone and never to be remembered again, leaving the scene open for another set of kings fighting to perpetuate their names in history. This is the material world. It's we are time is all powerful, and of course, what is time? Well, it's Krishna. Kalosmi, Krishna says, time I am. So really it is Krishna in the shape of time who is controlling this world, and we are simply being carried on the waves of time, being united for a short while, and then we are being separated again. And this is what he's talking about here. But the point was that to break out of this deadly illusion in which we are caught right now, to understand the simple facts. Again, the simple facts are: we're not this body, we're tiny spirit souls. We are. Krishna is a great spirit soul. We are meant to render service to him for his satisfaction and pleasure. And these are the simple facts. We just have to act on it. But that's, the difficulty is the second part, to act on the fact that Krishna, he is the actual enjoyer, and he is the controller, and we can simply, in every moment, render service to him. This is our nature. But we generally don't act on that. That's a problem when we have just the basic spiritual knowledge. I'm not this body, but do not act on it, on our real identity as Krishna's servants. Then the body conception will again cover us over. We will not be able to sustain it. That's many have this understanding. Mayavadis in general, they have this understanding. Buddhists have somewhat, even Buddhists of course, they even have less understanding. They're not even sure if they're not this body or they are the body, or if they are both the body and different from the body, or neither the body nor different from the body. That's Buddhism. Buddhism is a highly, many things that Buddhism has is a great philosophy, but it's actually completely, it's not philosophical at all. Ultimately, it's just word games. So for a Buddhist, you can ask a Buddhist master. There's examples that what is your philosophical position? That the world is eternal? No, the world is not eternal. Then the world is temporary? No, the world is not temporary. But does that mean it is neither eternal nor temporary? No, it doesn't mean that. So does it mean that it's both eternal and temporary? No, it doesn't mean like that. What does it mean? And it means that this world is just the echo of the one hand's clapping, the sound from one hand clapping. So the Buddhists at least have some, the idea that that's existence. And they say existence, but it means actually material. If you say material existence, it means suffering, and we have to, and it's due to our desires. So we have to get rid of our desires. So Buddhists, they would practice extreme forms of meditation. They would just sit for hours every day as a sadhana, looking at the wall. Just look at the wall the whole day, and don't do anything else. Just give up all desires by looking at staring at the wall, or similar kind of practices. And and they do that by simple, sheer willpower. Once they're more, they are really strongly practicing Buddhism. They have stronger willpower than any of us probably have. Because who could sit just for hours and staring at the wall? But the Buddhist monks, they do. But it doesn't last. They can do it, but then when they come again, they come down again they fall down into material activity again. Like today, I'm supposed to meet today with our local Lama. We have a local Lama here in Denmark. Laka Lama. Yeah. I'm supposed to meet with him today, and also Leon Pedersen, and a Jewish rabbi and a Christian priest. We had a small meeting today. So this Buddhist Laka Lama, I understand he's a bona fide Lama from Tibet. He's even quite a somewhat celebrity there. He's a close associate of Dalai Lama and like that. He's a spiritual leader. When he comes here, he becomes just like a complete ordinary man. He's an alcoholic. Probably he's an alcoholic. No, he definitely drinks wine, he eats meat, he has a girlfriend. He dresses in cowboy, jeans. There's definitely not fixed in the practice of Buddhism. But and also I never in really deep philosophical come from the Mao. It's actually very trivial that what he has to contribute. The Christians and Muslims are much deeper points of philosophy, but this Buddhist, he has nothing. It's just that we should all be nice, some stuff like that. There should be peace, and we should, we all want peace and be nice, and we should. I don't really like to be together, but I have to control myself. There's no pleasure. Even Christians and Muslims, there's God, and we have to serve God and surrender to God, and like views like that. There's more substance, but not Buddhist. But the thing is, but at least they have some understanding. Some basic simple facts they got right, that the material world is suffering, and but of course this with the spirit soul, even that they have not. Immediately of course it comes and it keeps reappearing in Buddhist philosophy. There is a self, but they will always deny there is a self. So what is it that is observing? Well, it's just that when desires get together and congregate, that then arises a self. We would say it isn't the other way around. There's a self, and desires arise naturally from the self, but their idea is actually it's activity and creates desires, and which creates a self. I'm not sure. I'm not an expert in Buddhism. Neither are the Buddhists actually, for the most part. They're also not experts in Buddhism. I think what we know about Buddhism is more than what most Buddhists actually know. That's another. You meet sometimes people on the street who say, "No, I like Buddhism. I'm into Buddhism. I don't know what these books are." You meet someone like that? No. That's
Maybe a few.
Yeah. It's kind of trendy Buddhism. Well, in certain circles to live like that. But if you actually sometimes ask them if they don't know anything about what Buddhism means. They meet. Anyway. But the point is that just because they got a little something right, they cannot practice it. You see, if the world is full of misery, why do we end up in engaging in sense gratification, just to increase the misery? It's simply Mayavadis who will know that we are not this body, we actually are pure consciousness, but they also try to kill the activity and the desires of the soul. That is their process, and that doesn't work either. They're falling down, and they fall down to Prabhupada. He hints at that here. Mundane activities such as philanthropy, welfare work, social upliftment, building schools, building hospitals, engaging in politics, saving the world. That's another illusion. Let's save the world. This world, first of all, it's not in our power. Neither can it be saved. Krishna said this world is temporary, and we cannot, change this. And this fact that Krishna has established that this world has a certain time and then it's over. It's not possible to save this world. That's just another. But that's again the paradox. The Mayavadis will realize